Welcome to the From Pain to Purpose radio show. I'm your host, Eva Fulton. In this show, we explore the incredible journeys of resilience, healing, and transformation. In each episode, we will sit down with individuals who have faced unimaginable struggles and turned their pain into power, heartbreak into hope, and their challenges into meaningful change and finding new purpose in life. Through candid conversations and inspiring stories, we will uncover how pain, whether emotional, physical, mental, or spiritual, can be the catalyst for profound growth and a deeper sense of purpose. So if you are looking for motivation, insight, and real stories of triumph over adversity, you're in the right place. Let's get started on this journey from pain to purpose. Let's give veterans a voice through Military Broadcast Talk.
Hello, welcome everybody. Welcome to the From Pain to Purpose radio show on Military Broadcast Radio TV. Today is Saturday, August. Let's see, I took my glasses off. August 8th, the year of our Lord 2026. And I am coming to you live from my home. This is my home little studio. And fair warning, if you're watching, this is the no makeup face. I have been out there working on my RV. You guys, if y'all are following me on social media, I am renovating an RV I bought from my dad for a couple of $100. It's a really old one, had a lot of water damage, and so I got it. I got it the front half, I'll put it that way. So I have been toiling in the sweat out here in Texas, and it's kind of nice coming inside, take a shower, and cool off. I'm on my second 40-ounce bottle of Sustain. If you wonder what is sustaining me, and my good friend, Captain Steve Morgan, he's an Air Force veteran with Brave Souls United, will be happy to hear that I am plugging Sustain, because, man, it is the real deal. That is how I am able to work out there in the heat and not just totally melt, right? Because I'm made of sugar, I'm going to melt. No, no, said no one ever. Eva is not made out of sugar. Maybe a little vinegar sometimes, but not the sugar. No, just kidding. Just kidding. Maybe a little honey. I got some honey in me. So, what else is going on? I had my first, discussion for my study. So I'm making some good progress, and I need to get more of those scheduled because the next few weeks are gonna, actually, the next 2 months, I have a lot of travel ahead of me. So that's where the debate is. Do I take the trailer? Don't I take the trailer? Or I just go ahead and slum it in my, I love my tent. Don't get me wrong. But, do I go ahead and just go in the little tent? It's way easier to put up than to carry, pull behind the truck. But I got miles to go. I got lots of miles to travel across the country. Lots of great things happening in the next couple of months. And yeah, you're just going to have to follow me, aren't you? Because I have lots of places to go, people to see, and things to do. So, what else is happening? It's just hot, right, folks? It's hot. I hope you all are staying cool and hydrated, but you're getting out there and enjoying life and finding your own pain to purpose story. For those of you who are just following me, maybe you haven't ever watched my show. I really kind of operate the show on this is my pretend wooden chair. 4 pillars of pain: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And when I explain this to folks, when you get one of those legs of your pain that starts getting a little wonky, the stability of your chair that you're sitting on gets wonky, right? You got to figure out how to shore it up. And sometimes, excuse me. Sorry. Sometimes we have to make some different choices in life, and um that's where I've even gone through the entrepreneur journey myself. And I used to own a construction company. So that's why I have no problems getting out there and renovating my own RV to my own standards. But I'm following the general principles of construction. Used to own this construction company with my second husband. And, you learn a lot of things. Measure twice, cut once. And that's one thing. Always make sure you're sealing the envelope, which is the exterior of the, building, the RV. You've got to seal it. I finally was able to work on some of the roof patching this morning before it started getting too hot. And I finally got some of the cross member stabilization that I was looking for, so I can finish building out the inside. But I have had to order more tape, so more work to do on the roof. But at least I got to a good stopping point. If it rains, and I'm not expecting any rain, but if it rains, then I know that I think what I've done is going to protect any of the work that I've already done. But I have been making some really good investments, I think, on what I've been doing, how I've been doing it. And it's going to look super sweet. So for those of you who are, interested in getting the From Pain to Purpose radio show or getting MBR to your events, what I'm actually designing is a rolling studio, right? So I can do it part that and then part working for a nonprofit. And I'm working on helping set up a women veterans program with Brave Souls United. I posted about a video on it this morning on my little walkthrough for the RV. And I think it's important, right, to get outside and just live. I was watching some kind of video on social media the other day, and this guy had conducted a study about getting outside. So he had a group of men that he took baseline blood tests and then took them out into the woods for 3 days. They didn't do like anything really spectacular, but it was about breathing the air and feeling the environment and just really, enjoying it. So he did mention that they had like pine and spruce in the area, and they put off some kind of, I want to say, chemicals that when they came back out and they out of the woods and they did another another test after that 3 days, then whatever their levels were before had dropped. And so for those of you who, even if you use diffusers and you're trying to, improve your own environment, but you don't want to get out in the woods itself, bring the woods into your house and diffuse some pine or spruce or something like that. So I just kind of throw that out there. Get grounded. All right. So I have a spectacular guest today, and so she, folks, if y'all haven't figured me out, I grow my people garden in all kinds of ways. I watch people on social media. Now, don't think that you have to wait for an invite. If you want to be on my show, reach out to me and let me know. Hey, Eva, I want to come on your show. I'm happy to have you. Let's work out a Saturday and see when we can do that. But a lot of people that have been on my show so far, I watch them, not stalking, but I watch them because I want to see what is their story, right? Because I have to know, are they a good fit on being on our show and what their message is? And, there are some people you have on, and, we were talking before show, and she's like, I think we have some people in connection. It's funny how our people garden grows. And I think some people say it's, what is it, 10 degrees? There's some kind of degrees of influence that we have with each other, and we know somebody who knows somebody, and we all know somebody else together. So the veteran world community is smaller than we think, and it's interesting to see who's on your social media. You go look up somebody and you're like, they know these people, really? I'm friends with these people, but they know these people. I don't know this person, but they know these people, and these have been my friends for a long, long time, or maybe even my neighbors too. I have quite a few veterans in my neighborhood. So, anyways, so I started following Keyani. I told you I've done the entrepreneur thing. My first business with Mark, we had a janitorial business. Yep. I cleaned toilets once upon a time, not just in the army, but I cleaned toilets, and I, I knew how to run a buffer. I knew how to tell people what to do. So, yes, I owned a construction cleaning company, was the primary focus of what we did. But when the business shut down and I had to feed my own kids, I did I did what I needed to make sure I, needed to do. And I actually cleaned houses for people in my mom's neighborhood. And that's tough when you have to make some choices like that. But, when you're looking at what your options are, because this had come from the heels of getting laid off from two large tech companies, something goes through your head, and you have to make some choices about making a transition. And maybe working for yourself is better. You can have a little bit of control. The hard part about that is the economy is not something that we can always control either. So Mark and I, we had, the construction cleaning company was the learning curve for me to learn how to then get into construction. So I learned how to do takeoffs and, do bids and all the project management software and everything. And, it was kind of funny because they were not used to seeing a woman in a hard hat walking around on the construction projects. They were not familiar with having a pregnant woman walking around a construction job sites either when I bid on Gaylord in Grapevine, Texas. So, funny how things work. But it was a very much a man's world, and I worked in that for probably longer than what we should have. But that was the hard part, is that the Small Business Administration and certainly the VA at the time, I should have had any problems getting 8A contracts or women owned, service disabled veteran business owned. And yet here we were. I was in a very niche kind of group, uh, you know, construction work, right? Not many women doing that. I actually had one guy say, why don't you go ahead and start a toilet company, right? The portable toilets that get delivered to job sites. Why don't you go ahead and do that? Or maybe you could put up their perimeter fencing. They didn't want to have a woman compete in actually building anything. And yes, I know how to do it. I've done demo on several projects at hospitals and a police station. So yeah, I have done quite a bit of stuff, and that's why it's funny that people laugh. Really? Don't you need some help building your RV? Nope, I got this. I say all of that to say we have people who are out there in the entrepreneur space who want to help other veterans probably navigate things that I stumbled over because I didn't know what I woulda, coulda, shoulda, right? I was out there trying to make sure that I needed to learn a lot, and there's a lot with government contracting that I learned. And, one of the reasons why I probably went ahead and just transitioned to start working for the federal government because I knew that the inside stuff is the part that people don't always learn. But, anyways, so I'm actually, this is all as a good lead in, I promise you, for Keyani Washington. She's a U.S. Navy veteran, business operations architect. Man, I love the sound of that. Speaker and founder of Keyani Siban. She helps found and leads design the internal operations environments that folks need to build and confidently navigate organizations that consistently fulfill their mission and deliver meaningful transformation. That's to the people that they serve. She's also the creator of the Response Protocol and the Entrepreneur Elevation Lab. Isn't that neat? And here we go. Right? Can't find my interview. Here we go.
The interview of the week is brought to you by Jersey Mike's, a sub above.
Hey, welcome, Keyani. Welcome to the Pay to Purpose radio show. I'm sorry, that was like a long lead in, wasn't it?
It was okay because I was like, "You had a janitorial business?" Like I'm over here
I did.
thinking we talked, but we missed some stuff. So yeah, okay.
I've been there, done that. Got the t-shirt. Yeah, that was a huge learning curve, getting into the construction business.
Mm-hmm.
But it was pretty neat learning the janitorial side. But it wasn't, and we had a couple of maintenance janitorial contracts, like we did Chili's, a couple of Chili's for a while.
That's pretty cool.
But it's a lot. That's a lot of hard work for not
Mm-hmm.
pay,
Yeah,
especially when they don't maintain it, and you can't
yeah,
make any money if they're not maintaining the cleaning as it is.
right.
But the bread and butter we had for the company was construction cleaning.
Okay.
So we started out kind of small because his uncle was in the business, but we we branched out and started doing bigger projects and bigger projects. So I've done some very large, I want to say multifamily type projects. I've done
Mm-hmm.
several hospitals. And when they knew that my company was on site, the health inspectors were not worried, right? They knew
Yeah.
that we were going to take care of business. And, they didn't get gigged on anything because man, we made it look sharp. But
Oh yeah.
but I got to learn a whole bunch of stuff and work on. I had to, what a dinka lift is? Not too many people know what a dinka lift is. A dinka lift is, those big scissor lifts that you'll see on different
Mm-hmm.
projects. Well, the dinka lift will get through a 3.0 door. It's a 3 foot wide door, and it'll get through and lift you up high. And
Mm.
that's what I was having to do in this one hospital project because they had this big, huge foyer, this big, huge area that I had to get up and polish. They wanted the
Yeah.
wood walls polished up there
Mm.
because you could see the construction dust all over it. They didn't,
Yeah.
if they had kept the paper on it or something, that would have helped when they installed it, but they didn't. So I had to get
Yeah.
up in there. None of my workers would get up there in the Dinka lift. So I had to put the harness on and tether it to the bucket. And they were like, "Yeah, you do that, Eva." You do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
They were
I'm with
not.
them. You got it. You
But
got
I
it.
was the fearless leader,
Yeah.
It was kind of funny that all these men wouldn't do it, but here I was, 50 feet up in the air on the Dinka
Right. You got it. That's all you.
Yeah. But I got into construction. That was a lot of fun though. Being
Yeah.
able to get out there and do that stuff and but I had to lay the law down Hey, I am not your mama. You need to clean up
Right.
after yourselves.
Right.
I may be a woman running this cleaning company, but I am not your maid. You need to clean up your mess. Get your
Right.
employees to clean up their mess because that's
Right.
not what I'm getting paid to do. You
Right.
have day laborers who are supposed to do that. I'm supposed to make sure it looks clean for the owners to move in.
Right.
You know. So, anyways, that's tough when you're doing that, but I think that was where a lot of the military stuff that I
Mm-hmm.
learned really aligned with being a business owner. So
Yeah,
there's
it does.
this part where I know I've gotten comfortable getting into my day job, but then, when I retire in a few years, I don't know when that'll be, but when I retire in a few years, do I want to go back to being the entrepreneur? Because
Yeah.
it's all right.
Yeah.
I'm working on a potential something with my co-host Daryl Hartley. So, maybe we need
Never
to meet
know.
with you. Maybe we
Yeah.
need to meet with you
Maybe.
and bring you in on this thing that we are looking at doing. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Sounds good.
yeah. All right. So let's jump into your story.
Yeah. Let's jump right on in. So, where do you start? So, really,
Let's start about your transition. I mean, if that's probably a good place.
yeah. So, my
What,
transition
what
out of the military.
Yeah.
So, I got out in 2003, and actually, before I went in, I was already kind of skilled in braiding, but for whatever reason, I didn't really think it could become an actual career when I, graduated high school. So I ended up going into the military. But while I was in the military, I was actually doing hair.
Okay.
So when I got out, I was thinking, well, for whatever reason, my mind didn't say just go to school to be a cosmetologist. My mind said, oh, go to school to be a unit secretary, because that's what they called it at the time, unit secretary. So I started going to school like for typing and computer skills and stuff like that. And lo and behold, the school that I was going to actually had just started the cosmetology school. It would have been the second class, and not the second class that they would have had. So I was like, you know what? Stop running from it. And then just so happened the state that I was living in, they required you to have a license to do hair. So at this point, I didn't really have a choice. So
Okay.
that's really kind of how I jumped into kind of entrepreneurship. But I think through my transition coming out of the military, I spent a lot of time dealing with civilians on a regular basis.
Right.
So it wasn't as hard, I think, for me to kind of transition over to kind of just civilian life, as much as it is some other veterans that I've
So
kind of
how
seen.
long were you in the military? In the Navy, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I was in about 4.5 years. So I did my
Okay.
first couple of years in Virginia, went to air traffic control school, and then I did the rest of my contract in at NAS Meridian, Mississippi. So
Okay.
yeah, so again, it wasn't as bad as everybody else, I would say. And I always say that because I just kind of acclimated myself to the city, and like my family didn't live far, so it made it a little easier. But
Do you think part of that transition though was that you had not been in the military for a longer amount of time? So the 4 years, yes, you qualified for your benefits and
mhm,
everything, but uh your I want to say your mindset had not been so ingrained with the military way of doing things that it didn't it you still kept a lot of your own Kiani personality and wasn't, I'm going to use this word, brainwashed, but you weren't,
as
I,
brainwashed as everybody else.
yeah.
I think so. If so, my boat that I was on is
Yeah.
is what they would have considered like the real Navy. It actually was one of the ones. in that area that I was in that was kind of known for the type of boat that it was. So
Okay.
my boat was like one of those real deal, you're in the military now type of
Okay.
boats.
Okay.
So I did get well acclimated in because when I transitioned to being at a naval air station, so when you're doing sea duty and land duty for a Navy person, it's literally two different worlds.
Yeah.
So for us, if you're on the boat and then you go to your land duty, people kind of think you don't know it, especially because me, I was like lower ranking. I think I went to the air station at an E3, and so
Okay.
they were thinking that I didn't know
You were
nothing, and
fresh. Yeah.
I was thinking, and I let them know right off, baby, I was in the real Navy. You cannot get over on me with this stuff that y'all been doing with these people came up straight out of boot camp and on
Uh-huh.
this. Nah, I know the real deal. they
Oh, got you.
they uh they definitely introduce you to the real Navy on my ship. So I just so happened to be on a ship that was like that. But I think even so with that, a lot of the people that I was stationed with, um they had children and husbands, and so they lived a kind of like a civilian life. And so
Mm.
I would be with them, and like the person that I was dating, they had like friends and other family members that lived a regular civilian life. So I acclimated so much with
Oh,
just,
got you. Got
yeah.
you.
So I lived like a double life. Like I was in the real Navy, but then I was like, when I was had my own personal time, I would actually be with like more civilians and hanging out in
That's
civilian
very
spots.
fortunate.
And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
Very
it
fortunate.
was that for me. So when I actually went to air traffic controller school, I wasn't far from my family. So the weekends that I had free, I would come to spend time with my family. And the same thing at the air station. I was literally an hour from my family. So
Oh, that's easy.
yeah,
Yeah.
straight out the back gate, up the highway to the house. Like never even hit the city limit. I went straight out the Navy back gate to the highway. So yeah. So I think I did get that because even now, like as I am getting older, I realize like some of the ways that I think and some of the things that I'm like, why don't people just, and it came from that military mindset, like you have to
Yeah.
do this, it must get done, there is no second, third, fourth option. you know what are you crying about? Let's go ahead and get that, like that extra stuff that goes on. It's
Yeah.
like you don't you as a
Let's not waste
military,
time. Let's not waste
yeah,
time. Really?
as a
Just do it right the
military
first time.
member, you're over here like get over it. Let's go,
So
come on.
so did have some of that has some of that helped you in making your choices to become an entrepreneur?
Yes, I know. Like, there's a particular issue that I had on the boat before I actually went to air traffic control school, and never really realizing how much that was ingrained in my mind until probably this summer. And it was so crazy
Okay.
because I'm older. I'm 45, and so I got out in '03, and I went in at 17. And I realized over the summer, like, oh wow, that is why you have a hard time working for other people because of this issue that you had in the military. And so when I get into those situations, like I've only worked in civilian spaces, I would say like as an employee,
Mhm.
probably in only three businesses out of that whole time. So I really think that a lot of what was happening in the military had a lot to do with the way that I think, the way that I'm like, yeah, nobody's going to deal with that with you from you. Either you're going to be a
Right.
leader or you're not. I should not be the leader. You should be the leader. If I got to lead your people, then I don't need to be working under you. So
You need to
bye.
be the
Like,
leader. Right, right.
yeah,
No, I totally got you. I
yeah,
totally got you on that one.
yeah, yeah. It's ingrained. You don't realize it. I think that's for every person that was in the military. I'm gonna say if you did at least 2 years, you probably have something ingrained in you and you don't even realize it until over time and you just like, that's where it came from. So yeah.
So tell me, what exactly is a business operations architect?
So glad you asked what that is. So I like to call it the person that is similar to a regular architect, right? So an
Okay.
architect is not the person that's going to build the actual building or the home or anything like
Right,
that.
right.
They're just designing it on paper.
Yep.
They're putting together a design on paper of what this thing that the construction company wants to build. And they have some type of toolkit that they use in order to create a pretty much a solid foundation for what that is. And then they start adding the little pieces that that they want customized. So I say business operations architect because most entrepreneurs generally just jumping in and start running their business. They're like, I have this grand thing and I know that I can do it. And I've been trained, I've been skilled, I have this experience and all of these things.
You have
And
a
I've been working over
certification
here.
and
Yeah, I've been working for this company doing this thing for like 20 years or 5 years or however many years. And I can get out here and do it. And I'm like, yeah, you're just jumping in and building a house. What is it supposed to look like? So I'm
right,
that person that says, what does this operation, what is it supposed to look like for
right.
you and for your customer? You can't just think about you. It's like, what is that customer's experience with you and
I'm
what
so
is your
glad you're covering this because that's the kind of the conversation that I've been having with Daryl. I mean, because I love the idea of what we're trying to build,
mm-hmm,
but I'm like, we can't just, suddenly offer, A through H, but we don't have design, what we're trying to implement with A. How are we going to do it? When are we going to do it? Who's going to do it? We've got to lay things out.
you gotta lay
And I
things
think
out.
that was the part that Mark and I, that hindsight's 2020 thing,
Mm-hmm.
is that I didn't know what I didn't know
Yeah.
about running a business. Now, it
Yeah.
wasn't about executing, it wasn't
Yes.
about thinking about it in project management
Mm-mm.
style and
Mm-mm.
doing the projects themselves, but that whole, you know, all of the framework
Yeah.
about it's not just having the bylaws,
Mm-mm.
having the business plan.
Mm-mm.
I'm still sketchy on whether a business plan is
The
really.
business plan is literally for the bank or some type of
Yeah,
grant. Like if you're trying to
right.
get money from somebody, you need a business plan.
It
They're not
does
going to give it to you.
nothing for you, the owner.
No,
To me,
not
it
really.
just doesn't do anything for you.
Mm-mm.
No, who's going to do? For to me, it's like, okay, who's going to do the bookkeeping? That's part of the way I think about what you're talking about on the operations architect. You got to
Mm-hmm.
somebody. How are we going to register? uh we're talking about doing some classes, right? We have to,
Mm-hmm.
what's the process on how we're going to register them? How much are we going to charge them? When are we going to have the classes?
Yeah.
There's
It's
all
so
these
many.
things.
Mhm.
And yeah, we need the architect that
Yeah. It's so crazy because it is actually who I've been the entire time, not knowing
mm,
that this is just who I've been the entire time. But I was always so focused on my brain needs to work. My brain needs to work. I just kept saying like my brain needs to work. Like if my brain doesn't work, then I'm not gonna be able to do this. I'm not gonna be like it's not gonna make sense. Like everything I need is inside here, but if my brain doesn't work right, then I'll never be able to do these things the way I'm supposed to do them. And over time, it's like little pieces started coming here and there. Like you need to do it like this. You need this. You need this. I never had the language for it. I just knew I needed my brain to work. So
uh,
every situation, every type of business situation that I was in, every personal situation that affected business, I will always be like, okay, how do I do this and still maintain this? And it was
right.
always this. I was trying to like figure it out, and so over time, and it really started with one question. I was no longer going to be able to do hair because of my military injury, and I was not trying to find somebody for my customers, like for my clients, because they were so accustomed to something. I was like, surely I can find somebody. I found talent, I found skill, which I said talent and skill don't really matter in most instances. But I found that, but I couldn't find that person that actually cared and served and was a leader in the space and all of the things. And I'm like, why? And I kept asking myself, why? That's the only question. I was like, why? So the why led to, well, maybe you should go to school to be an esthetician. That why led to, well, why don't you just make a product? Because if they can't be you physically, it can be you in a bottle. And then that didn't solve the problem. So I just kept asking, like it was like a series of questions that I just kept answering and answering and answering in the cosmetology space. And then when I got to the entrepreneurial space, because I started going through entrepreneurial programs, and I'm like, oh, I thought this was a cosmetology problem. No, it's a industry problem. Like it's all industry.
Right, right.
So when I realized it wasn't just specific to me and my industry for for the customers that are in the needing cosmetology services, that's when I was like, okay, so it's deeper than that. And then there was another why. It's like, okay, it's deeper than what I thought it was. So why is it deeper than that?
That
So
sounds
just
like the
like,
five whys. Have you
yeah,
heard of the five whys?
I don't
Well,
think I have.
why? 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 You got to ask, well, why? Five times to get through. And generally by the time you get to the fifth why, you're like, oh, that's why I had to do this. You had to ask, well, why did that not work? Well, why do I need to try this product or this way of doing it? Well, why did that not work? And I've got to go back over to this thing,
That
and
was it.
you
It
got to
was
do
like,
five
why?
whys.
It's like,
I
why?
think the biggest thing that I kind of learned, not just from the business owner perspective and the customer perspective, but also even from my own academic side of things, because I'm working on my PhD.
Hmm.
What problem am I trying to solve?
What problem are you
And
trying
if
to
you
solve?
don't know, like as a business owner, what problem am I trying to solve, then I don't know who I as a business need to be, right? Or
Mhm.
Daryl, we don't know what kind of business we need to be. And what niche are we trying to solve a problem for the customer base or industry or whoever? You have to know the why. What
Yeah,
problem are we solving?
the why is like you said, it's the why. It's so I always like to say the why you started is where you start. So you say like, why do I want to do this? Like why am I interested in throwing myself out here when I could get a paycheck and no one is coming and have insurance that I don't have to worry about? Like why would I throw myself out there to really just be trying to linger out here and figure it out by myself? And when I have somebody that's sending me a monthly paycheck with benefits, I can
Yeah.
go home and don't have to worry about. I can throw this on the shelf and not have to worry about it no more.
Because
Why would
there's
I
a
do it
lot of
to
risk
myself?
involved with being an
Yeah,
entrepreneur.
yeah,
Mark and I lost everything,
yeah,
right? We had the housing crisis that happened about the same time. We lost everything.
yeah,
So that's how I ended up going and, getting a real job.
yeah.
It
I
wasn't that I
always say you
ever,
got to ask yourself why.
it's not that I ever disliked being a business owner. There was a lot of freedom in being a business owner, but a lot of risk too,
Hmm.
especially when you have a young family
Yeah.
and you gotta, you got to put food on the table and
Yes.
clothes.
Most
I at one
definitely.
point I applied for food stamps, but I didn't know I could have had a phone interview.
Yeah.
I just I would have qualified cuz I had zero income for 2 years. You know how you get your social security
Yeah.
benefit thing,
Yeah.
I have zero income for 2 years way back when.
Wow. Yeah.
So
That
I
sounds like,
would have qualified. We had 4 kids.
yeah,
So
you definitely would have. Yeah, we do know that or kids. Yeah, they would have threw it over there too.
Joel, he's doing a little shout out to followers. So
Oh,
thank you,
okay.
Joel, for showing,
Hi,
for
Joe.
sharing. Just he's our producer, CEO of Military Broadcast Radio. So
Okay. Hi,
yeah,
Joe.
yeah, he's the H Train. He has that show also.
Okay.
So all right, so let's. You have other stuff that you had. Let me go back to the notes. I like this that operations architect side.
I think
What
most people
is
like
so? Is it you said you're a founder of Keyani Shaban?
that.
I hope I pronounced that right.
You are. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
what do you do? What does Keyani Shaban do?
So with Keyani Siobhan, I help founders and leaders design their internal and operational environments that they're able to actually build. And you see, I'm getting like you're actually able to build the organization that you need to deliver that mission and serve your customers well. So you can serve them. Nobody's saying you can't serve them if you
Right,
don't design. We're saying that there is definitely a method to the madness. So if you do not design this first, it will overtake you and you will feel like you're drowning regularly. You will feel
right,
like this business controls me, these customers control me, like everything else is just like you will feel like that if you don't design that unique thing first
hmm,
because you have to realize it's already unique. It's not just a regular thing within that industry or field. It's unique because you probably were in this industry in this field whatever it is and you saw something very specific so it's already unique so you can't build it like the thing that you were in because it's unique like i
right,
can't i can't treat every child the same because every child is not the same
right,
even though
right,
they're a child every child is unique and there are specific things that I need to do. So you can't say just because this worked over here, it's going to work with this baby because this baby is not the same as that baby. So you
right.
have to sit down and design. So what I help them design those internal and operational environments. So your internal is like your thinking, your decision making, your leadership, all of that is more internal. And then that operational, that's your systems. That's whether I'm going to use this website, who are going to be my people, how I'm going to make my money, all of those different things. So
Right.
it's two different environments. You can't get away with having one without the other. It just doesn't work. You're going to be a crazy person. I always say, just prepare to be a crazy person if you don't build that. That's all. That's the simplest way that I can describe it because I
No,
remember
I
being a crazy
get it.
person.
I get it. I mean, I've been a business owner before. So, that's the part that I think I didn't understand what I didn't know, right? I
Mhm,
mean, and piecemealing it does not help either, right? Because if you are starting out a business and you don't have financing to help with whatever those startup costs,
mhm,
and you've got to start laying out the materials and labor, but you don't have money from a customer yet, you're gonna have a problem. And
mhm.
that was very, very tough learning curve for Mark and I until we started getting some projects going and could do the
Yeah,
billing. But guess what? I was having to learn, QuickBooks at the same time and get it
yeah,
all set up. I mean,
yeah,
that was tough. That
yeah,
was really, really tough. Um, we
yeah,
eventually had to hire somebody I need you to take care of this because I can't run the job and input stuff for billing and invoicing and stuff.
yeah,
I can't order the materials over here because I need to watch what the people are doing on the job site and make sure that it's getting done right according to the plans.
this is something that no business owner ever thinks about. Not one. You were already somebody before you decided to run this business. So
Mhm.
that somebody already had responsibilities. And those responsibilities, I just like to call them positions. Let's think, like, put a title to the positions that you have held just personally by yourself. We're not even talking about the job that you hold. We are talking about you as a personal person. There are responsibilities that you hold. There's a position, there's a title. You're a mom, you're a wife, you are the person that cleans in your house, you're the person. Those are positions. People actually
Yep.
already get paid for those, and you hold those positions. So they don't go away just because you decided to run a business. They're still there in the back looking at you,
Oh
mocking
yeah.
you, saying, "Hey, what's your
I'm out
decision for me
I'm out
today?"
there building my RV and none of the inside cleaning stuff is happening. I'm
Yeah,
not getting my laundry done.
they're
No,
still
I hear
there
you. It's
looking
all still
at
there.
you
My homework is still waiting on me while I'm out there working on the
all.
RV.
And then you got all of this right here, just sitting there on your shoulder, right here. And then
Yeah,
you say, "Oh, I want to be a business owner." You you don't even think about the fact that when you say business owner, you should actually just picture like Walmart or Amazon or what, and just picture the people that exist in
yeah,
there. That place is not ran by the business owner.
right. It's not a
No.
one-man show.
Right. So it's like there are, even though you're probably going to end up doing the positions, but just know what they are. Like, what
Yeah,
are they? Because every position has responsibilities,
you're right.
and every responsibility has a decision making that goes along with it. So
Right.
you're already over here with this stuff sitting over here, and then you go and add this whole business that has all these other positions. You haven't thought about not one of them. You just kind of build a plane in the air. You start saying, I have this thing for these people, and you start doing it, and you're like, oh shoot, we need somebody to run the books. Let's find somebody. Well, you got to figure out what person you need specifically for you, because every person that knows how to do books might not be the best person for you. So
Right.
it has to
Right.
cater
You
to
can't
you, and
it,
it has to cater to your
somebody
customer.
running QuickBooks at a daycare does not know how to run QuickBooks for a construction company. I assure you.
Exactly.
Two
Exactly.
different types of environments, and yeah, it is not going to be the same. All right, so let's jump into you're the creator of the response protocol. That's what you
Mhm.
had in your bio.
Yeah.
What is the response protocol?
So the response protocol is pretty much that um, 7 week. So it's a actual methodology that I
Okay.
have. And within it, there are 4 modules. I like to call them modules, so that we kind of do that in the elevation lab, which I'm pretty sure you're going to ask me about that. But it's my
Yes.
methodology that actually helps you to build, to design this. So if you, like I said before, like as an architect, this architect has a kit, and so this is my kit that I've designed that has 4 pillars: mindset, responsibility, standard, and practice. And I basically put them into modules, but there's mindset, responsibility, standard, and practice. So there's these 4 pillars that I have built this toolkit on that is repeatable. You can go back to it because this is not something that you're only going to do one time. You're designing what it's going to look like,
Right.
but after you design, you got to navigate, right? So you got to build it. You can't just design it. It has to be built, and then you got to operate in it. So you got to navigate.
You got to
So
execute it. It
yes,
sounds like the change management model. I don't know if you've ever seen, you start, it's like, so look for a change management model.
okay,
You just look
okay,
it up. It's like a wheel. It's like the clock, right?
yeah,
It's going to turn and it's going to turn, but you got to start somewhere, and then you start the design, you start the execution, you start realignment, do some more tweaks with the new design, and it just keeps navigating,
keeps navigating. It
yeah.
keeps yep, it keeps navigating. So so like in your growth phase, in your scale phase, in your pivot phase, in pretty much in every phase, but I think what is mostly unique to my design, the response protocol, is I don't forget that you're a human
Okay.
first. So I include that into you building your operations. I can't subtract that from you building what needs to be built.
And I
So
think
I
that
put them
that's
together.
important. That's important, I think, in the veteran space,
Hmm.
especially because we're dealing with our own disabilities,
Hmm.
abilities, whatever you want to call, right? Our headspace and
Yeah.
the way we're feeling. You have
Hmm.
to build in some grace that everything is not going to go 100% correct, and give your if you're talking about project management, you better build in some extra time
Yeah.
to get things done
To get
so that
things
you are not putting yourself on a deadline that's impossible. But if you finish ahead of time, you get to look like a hero.
right. That is exactly what it is. Like you, again, don't forget about you, because ultimately you are the person that is delivering. You're the person that's coming up with what needs to be delivered. You are the person that should be delivering the consistency. You are the person that, I always like to say, I really don't feel like I started this trying to solve the entrepreneur's problem. I really feel like I started this trying to solve the customer's problem. The
Hmm.
customer has been looking for the entrepreneur that is going to deliver a transformable service to them.
Right.
And sometimes that doesn't happen. The customer might buy something from someone and then end up, I always say, having to weight of the chain, the burden of proof for them, meaning like it's gonna work. And there is a point where the customer should never have to assume what you have will work for them, because you've explained it so much to detail to where they're saying, oh yeah, that's me. Like there's no doubt about it. That's me and it's
Right.
gonna work, and there's no way that. So I think for me, again, starting from, I needed to come from behind the chair, and I know what my customers need. My customers have become accustomed to this because I taught them. I taught them how to be treated. And so now they're like, I can't go back down. I got to go up. I got to stay right here. I got to go up. So it's like I feel like I've always geared towards the transformation of the customer, the value that's delivered to them. But if I don't help the entrepreneur, the customer will never get that. So it was more
Right.
so
Right.
the entrepreneur has, like, you already have it. I don't have it. You have it. You just need to know what needs to be designed to deliver it.
How do you form the solution to execute it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Man, I told you, God brings people into my life for a reason. Man, I
Yeah.
wish I'd run across you when we were business owners way
I
back
probably would have
when.
been in the same boat as you because, like I said, I was doing it, but the language, had no clue. The
The
language, no
hard the
clue.
hard part, was at like I said at the beginning, the SBA. They were happy to help teach, a woman how to build a cookie company. They just very soft focused things.
Yeah.
Construction was like, you want to do what? I mean,
Yeah.
I was out of their league and I was asking questions that
They're like, what?
how do I get
Yeah.
8A certification? How do
Yeah.
I do this? And they were like, We don't know."
So it must have
They
been a lot of you out there asking those questions that made them say, "We probably need to revamp this because apparently we're
maybe
apparently we're not up to par on what actually is needed from the woman
they
entrepreneur or the veteran
yeah.
entrepreneur."
I,
So
I
yeah,
think I was ahead of my time. I tell you, I was.
I think a lot of us are. I'm gonna say I don't think not one entrepreneur, especially if you're super niche and especially if you are very detailed to a transformation, you're probably ahead of your time. I actually had someone tell me that had been in the same space that I was in and way more credentialed than I had, like COD, like way up there. And
Uh-huh.
they were like, yeah, you're about 5 years ahead of your time. And I was like, golly, so I'm about to just struggle the entire time. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes,
I'm gonna struggle.
but that was confirmation you were on the right path.
Yeah.
You knew that what you were doing was needed. I knew that what I was doing was needed, but I still had to make some decisions for my family
Yeah.
because losing everything was, man, I
Yeah.
that was tough,
Yeah.
that was tough to come back from that. And anyways, it's I've had a journey, and let's put it this
Yeah.
way. We've only got a couple of minutes left.
Yes.
What do you want to share that we haven't covered already? I mean, what are your next things? How do people reach you? All that stuff.
So, how do you reach me? So, right now, you can reach me on my Instagram, Keyani Washington. So, everything is Keyani Washington. If you want to get in touch with me, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, it's all Keyani Washington. I'm actually putting together right now a waiting list for anybody that wants to be a part of the Entrepreneur Elevation Lab. And that's really where you learn the response protocol. We go through it with you in real time. So as you are actively running your business right now, we will walk with you to make sure that what you have is actually what needs to be the design for what you
Okay.
need to build. So it is a 7-week training, and we walk through it with you. It's like real school, people. Unfortunately, I am an educator by trade, so sorry. So,
I love it.
so
Now, do you do
yeah.
these classes online or what?
Yes, it is 100% virtual. So
Okay.
it's 7 weeks, like I said, but it's the 4 modules that I was in, those 4
Okay.
pillars: mindset, responsibility, and practice. So mindset actually is a 3-week by itself. Again, if we don't start there, we building nothing basically. Like we're
Right.
just so mindset is 3, and each the rest of them responsibility, standard, and practice is 1 week. I give you a worksheet. There's a video for you to understand. You got to go through the worksheet and actually start mapping out and writing down exactly what you need. Again, I'm giving you the tool to create this design. I'm walking with you to create the design. We meet once a week for about 2 to 3 hours. You don't have to stay the entire time, but it's like that so that if I can only jump in for 30 minutes, at least I leave it open so the entrepreneur does get a chance to jump in, get their
Right.
questions answered for the thing that we actually for the lesson that you're going through. And then that last week is like a recap of everything we've gone through, everything you've built. And I don't leave you hanging because there's an alumni that you can jump into so that we can say, okay, this is my design. Now, is it built the
Right.
right
Right.
way? So
Are we
I
having to make any
yes,
adjustments
do you need to make
to
any adjustments?
alignment or whatever?
I bring in experts because I only work with the best. I don't believe in working with nobody that does not know their stuff. So I bring in people that know their stuff. I bring them in and they come in and they talk you through it. You don't actually have to work with them, but they're going to talk you through it just to make sure that you are per what you said you want to design. They listen to you and they're like, okay, these are the things you need to be looking for. This is the person you need to be looking for. This is the thing. So we break it down so that there's no question anymore. There's no you're not walking around like a crazy person. You know who you want to work with, you know what you need to drop, even customers, like I don't this is not my customer. And it could be a customer that needs you. That doesn't mean they're still your customer, right?
Right. I've had
So
customers, you want to fire your customer,
yeah,
you
I
know?
have I have. I fired myself. Did like literally just about a month ago. I fired myself. My communications person was like, "You fired yourself?" I was like, "Yeah, I fired myself. I fired myself."
Yeah.
So it was funny, but yeah. So if you need to reach me on social medias, that's the way you can reach me. I'm actually trying to build out this little what I call a social impact statement, so you can kind of figure out where you are, and just make out that statement.
Have you heard of School, SKOOL? That's
Yes,
a
I have.
platform.
Yeah,
I
it's
thought,
already in a platform, so I already have it in the platform. It's already there. We're just redesigning in the fact that of the language and the aesthetic. So it's already there.
okay.
I will actually be opening up the applications for the class to start in October. We haven't set like a definite date, but
Okay.
for October, I will be opening up applications again. So I'll be, that's why I said follow me on social media because you'll see me throw up a hey, here's the wait list or blah blah blah. So yeah.
All right. Well, all right. Thank you so much for joining me, Keyani. It's been a pleasure having you on. I've got to do a quick goodbye to everybody. Coming up next Saturday, it's going to be a recorded show, but it's Rick Rousseau. He's a JAG officer, retired, that I worked with at Fort Hood, is going to talk about claims. If you have claims questions, something burning, feel free to email me, eva@nbradio.us. Y'all have a fantastic week. And thank you for joining the For Pain to Purpose radio show on Military Broadcast Radio, letting our veterans' voices be heard. Bye.
Hi, I'm Beaker with Military Broadcast Radio TV. We're your virtual MWR, bringing veterans radio, podcasts, gaming, animation, 3D printing, and a community that never leaves you behind. Download our Roku or mobile app today.
Wisdom to share if you listen this week, so pull up a chair and stay for a spell. We're heading down a trail where good stories dwell.